Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Stephen Reap's Adventure of Truth podcast. I am your host, Stephen Reap, and today we're going to look at one of the hardest questions in theology. If God is all good and all powerful, why does he let bad things happen to good people? So let's explore that question, and let's take an adventure. All right, so like I said, this question is one of the hardest questions in theology. It's actually what kept my favorite author, C.S. Lewis, it kept him an atheist for a long time before he finally converted. This is the question. He had a mom die at a young age when he was young, and she was a great person, and he didn't see how this Christian God that was all good and all powerful could exist if his mom died. So he literally wrote the book at it. We're going to use him a lot, and we're also going to use some biblical answers. We're going to look at the book of Job for this answer. So really, this question, I think, can be broken down into two different answers, because one answer doesn't cover the whole scope of it. So the first part of the question is, why does God let bad people do bad things to good people, right? So we'll look at that one first, and then we'll look at why do bad things happen? Because Hitler and cancer are very different, right? Hitler was a bad person and did bad things to good people. For example, the Holocaust. And we can answer that with free will. Most Christians believe in free will. Catholics believe in free will. Episcopalians, the bigger denominations, believe in free will. Now that could be another video where we explore, do we have free will? That is up to debate, but I'm going to stick with the traditional Christian answer that we do have free will. And why does God let us have free will? Because it's pretty crazy that he lets us choose to be Hitler, right? He let Hitler happen. If he's all good and all powerful, why? Why Hitler? Well, you have to look all the way back to Genesis, when God created mankind. Why? Why did he create us? Well, he created us for relationship. He created us to love. And think about it. If he didn't give us free will, if he made us puppets where, he forced us to say, I love you, mwah, mwah, we wouldn't have, it wouldn't be real. No one wants forced love, right? It's say like, oh, I have to love you. That's not romantic. That's not special. I chose to love you. Now that's special, right? So God wanted our love. He wanted us to create each other and to love him. And he decided that comes with free will. That comes with the choice of saying no, right? The choice of saying not just no, I'm not going to love you, but I'm going to do terrible things and bad things, right? So it's out of God's strength. It's out of God's goodness that he lets us do bad things. That's a weird thing to think about, right? That he let Hitler happen out of his goodness. So God looked at all the worst things that can happen in the world. He looked at the Holocaust. He looked at Mao, the Great Leap Forward, killing more people than all of World War II. He looked at, 19th century was the bloodiest century ever. He looked at that. He looked at the Middle Ages and the Roman Empire and all the rape and murder and terrible, worst things you could think of, right? He looked at all of those things and he said, do you know what's worth it? Is love. Love is worth. The possibility to choose love, to overcome, to forgive, to choose love, to be good, is worth all of that evil. That evil is nothing compared to the choice of love and the possibility of love. So that's pretty powerful. I think it's pretty crazy to think in God's goodness, he gave us free will. Now, the other day, I had a student ask me this question, and I gave him that answer, and he goes, yeah, but what about cancer? Right? Cancer didn't choose. He's not giving cancer free will. Why does God let cancer? I get why, we have free will and we can be bad to each other. But what about natural things? What about a car wreck? What about someone that's just struck by lightning? Like, what about those things? Why does God let bad things in general happen that aren't conscious beings, right? Aren't one person doing it to another. Why is nature so bad? Why is nature fallen? Well, some people argue that is part of the fall in Adam and Eve, but I think that answer is too vague. I think the best answer for that in the Bible is the book of Job. So real quick, I'll probably butcher the story, but I'll summarize the book of Job. So the devil comes into God's court and asks him, what do you think of Job? And he goes, oh, Job's a great guy. He loves me and he's always going to choose to do right. And he goes, no, he's not. You just blessed him with a lot of things. So I'll make a bet with you, God. If you let me take all those things away from Job, I'll prove to you that he only loves you for the blessings that he gave you. And God, strangely enough, made a deal with the devil. And he goes, of course, I know Job's heart. I know Job will love me no matter what. So he goes, you're on, devil, but you can't harm him. You can take away anything. So he takes away all the good things, actually, some pretty messed up things. I think he kills his family, and he burns down his farm and all this terrible stuff, gives him sicknesses and all that stuff. He just doesn't kill. He does everything but kill Job. And Job stays true to God. But he's not sure why, and he's very confused why he let God happen. Why, God, why? You're so good, and you were so good to me before. Why did you let all these bad things happen to me? So at the end of the book, he finally gets an answer for God. And it's a really vague answer. A lot of people think God doesn't give him an answer. But he gives him a really profound answer. And he Job's like, why did you let all these bad things happen to me? And he's like, let me show you something, Job. And he goes, here it is. And he shows him the Leviathan, which is the ancient Jewish dragon, basically. It's this big monster, big sea creature, big scary predator thing. And, you can imagine Job sitting there like, okay. And he goes, there's your answer. This thing's good. And it's this big, scary dragon, right? The dragon, the symbolism of chaos that I talk about in my book, right? The Leviathan. That's good. And Job's just like, okay, God. So what does that mean? A lot of people are confused about that. What I think it means is we need dragons. We need dragons in our life to become who we're meant to be. Right? Without the dragon, there's no hero. There's no knight in shining armor that conquers the dragon, right? He wants you to be a dragon slayer. He wants you to be a hero. He wants you. Every story that has a dragon, yes, I've talked about this in the last few videos, that the dragon is everywhere in culture, right? Every culture had a dragon. That's something innate in us to come up with this dragon, even though dragons didn't exist. This idea of dragon, that idea of chaos, that really hard monster, the Leviathan, it's there, but it's good. Why is it good? Why does God let bad things happen to good people? It's because he wants you to be a hero and conquer that dragon. And that's really what the Adventure of Truth is about. That's what my book's about. That's what life's about, is conquering dragons, conquering those hard things, resurrecting in the darkness. When you think all is lost, when you think life can never get better, nothing ever good ever happens. Well, guess what? God resurrects and be the hero, and it's a challenge, right? Christianity is kind of hardcore with some of this stuff, right? You don't think of it, but the Beatitudes, blessed are those who mourn because you will be comforted, right? Blessed are those poor in spirit, for they will inherit the kingdom of God. All of these, you're blessed when you have challenges. Rejoice, St. James says, when you have trials and tribulation, because you'll be made stronger. So God lets bad things happen to good people. Not only so we can choose to love and we can choose, right and wrong, but to challenge us so we can grow and to be little gods ourselves, right? Christmas is coming up, and St. Athanasius, one of my favorite saints, is famous, and C.S. Lewis echoes him, It says the Son of God became man, so men can become sons of God, right? We're meant to be something great. We're meant to be heroes. So don't forget that. And that's why I'm Stephen Reed, reminding you to be the hero of your own adventure. See you next time, guys.